Hello, welcome to One Moment Wiser. This is Kristi Bridges, and today I have a special guest. I have Micah Pope. She is the chef behind Chef Micah's Kitchen. And boy, I tell you what, she comes up with amazing things for parties, because I've been to a couple, and appetizers, dinners. She was just telling me about her menu this week, and I think I might have to shut off my electric so that I can go over to her house and say, oh, I can't cook. All right, so she actually is turning the tables today. She decided to ask me some questions because I'm always interviewing other people, and perhaps there are some things that people want to know. So I'm up for anything. And I'm glad that she's here. Thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Mm-hmm. I am kind of nervous.
Oh. Well, good. Makes two of us.
It's funny. I like to be in control, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess control would be one of my issues that I've had to deal with in learning mental health and learning how to have good relationships. Right? What I saboteurs. Have you ever felt that way?
Yes, absolutely. I like being in control, and when I don't feel in control, it feels a little like chaos, and it's not controlled chaos, so I don't like it.
I gotcha. So, tell us just a little bit about yourself before we get started.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I am Micah with Miss Micah's Kitchen. The last year I did full-time and full-service catering, which I just recently pivoted to a private chef. So now I go in-home or on-site only, and I can do meal prep, meal planning, cooking classes, private chef services. It's been a really good change. I really, really enjoy it. I am a single mom to a 12-year-old boy, which is a whole adventure in itself.
Yeah.
And I just, Tulsa's home, always has been. I've moved away several times, but always come back. And so I found my tribe here, and I'm really happy.
Do you cook Tulsa food?
No. No, not really. So I kind of have my own spin on things. I created my own spice blend, so I use a lot of my own spices.
Oh, nice.
And just try to use a lot of fresh ingredients and things that you won't find on just every menu around town.
I like using things that grow in the yard.
Yes.
I discovered these lamb's quarters last week,
yes.
and I had so much fun with them. And now I'm like, where has purslane been all my life? I've just discovered it's like a mild bell pepper flavor, and it's just these succulent leaves. Yes. So good. So yes. That's neat that you like to use fresh,
absolutely,
slightly different things.
Yes.
Cool. Well, it's your turn.
All right. Let's see here. So I know you have a family.
I do.
Tell me more about your family.
Oh, okay. So I have a husband that I've been married to for 25 years. He's kind of cute. I'm like, how did I get such a good-looking hunk of man? We got together in the aftermath of my first divorce, and I do not recommend jumping right into a relationship in the middle of a divorce, but God does really good stuff. Absolutely. And after feeling our consequences, right, recognizing baggage that we hadn't dealt with, we just let God do his thing and learn how to treat each other better. Learned, I think more than anything, the value of the long-term relationship.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing. I there's nobody that I'd rather spend time with every single day. And I have a mom that just moved to Oklahoma. She was raised here in Tulsa, knows the town better than I do.
Oh, wow.
Raised in Tulsa and Broken Arrow, and she has been away since she was 20, and she just moved to an hour away 2 years ago.
Wonderful.
And we haven't lived in the same town since I was 18, and that's been 30 years, So it's pretty wild, but I love her. I love being able to just drive over to each other's houses, and she has taught me so much about resilience, because we went through some hard times. She was a young mom. I was born in high school, and so we went through some really difficult, just, no money times or bad husband times. And she taught me no matter what happened to me, God was going to take care of me, and I had what it takes to come back stronger. And she's modeled that because she's done the same thing. And between that and just her joyful creativity, I'm very, very grateful for her.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yes.
Wonderful. So I know you're a very busy lady. Keeps a very full schedule. You've got a lot of things on your plate. So one of the things that I recently read about, and it was a quote that I'm going to have to reference my phone for, is just simply says, we need to stop glamorizing overworking. The absence of sleep, good diet, exercise, relaxation, and time with friends and family isn't something to be applauded. Too many people wear the burnout as a badge of honor, and it needs to change. How did you handle that?
Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. Okay, I want to read this again. I just need to see this with my eyes. The absence of sleep, good diet, exercise, relaxation, and time with friends and family is not something to be applauded. Too many people wear burnout as a badge of honor, and that needs to change. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I still have goosebumps.
Yeah, very powerful.
You're right. And I, for a lot of my adult life, I did that. I busy was what I thought we were supposed to achieve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was a workaholic, and I'd be at work till 10:30 at night. And there have been times in my current job I've had to do that, but it's much more rare. But I was a workaholic, and I would constantly be trying to take care of other people. Anybody has a need, let me jump in and take care of it. And it was a way, I think, of trying to control my world and trying to be good enough.
Yes.
I was raised with a stepfather who was pretty mean. Just knew the buttons to push. And I think I carried a little bit of my mom's feelings of not being good enough. I think as women, we just carry that as a gender.
We're caretakers.
Right. We have to constantly try to prove ourselves or try to be
Seek validation.
better, seek validation, exactly. And over about 2015, I started acquiring more healthy people in my life. And they were successful people, but they were healthy people. And I started realizing that they had something that I didn't. They had balance. And I'm really grateful for that, because that's been a big mind shift. And I still struggle to keep balance because there's so much I want to do.
Yeah.
I have so many ideas and I want to do them all right now. Right? Like, let's go. But for the most part, I make sure that I have an hour with my husband, at least every day. And sometimes it's just watching TV, and those people who go, I never watch TV. Well, that's great, but that's how my husband considers quality time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we watch a little TV every day. I make sure to get me time. As a writer, you just kind of have to.
Yeah.
But I make sure to get time like hiking or swimming or in the prayer room at church, just some me time. And I take naps because I don't sleep at night. My husband comes home at 8 or 9. He's kind of fun to hang out with, and 1 o'clock comes along, and I'm like, oh crap, I got to get up in a few hours for work. So I love working at home because I can take that afternoon half-hour nap at lunchtime.
Absolutely, yes.
Or even a 15-minute nap on my break.
Absolutely, that's good. I like that. I will have to say the same. Is finding that balance was changing the people that I was around. That showed me what a healthy balance and what a healthy relationship looked like. And that changed a huge part of my world too, so I can completely relate.
Isn't it wonderful to have community in your life that you aren't responsible for, but instead they feed you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, it feels a little bit like not having control, right?
In a way, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember getting together with my friend Jennifer and my friend Donna. And every time we would get together, I would feel the healthy state that they were in versus where I had let myself get, you know? And they were wonderful. They were so nice to me. But I always left feeling like I needed to hide out and get better, you know? It was almost like I'm not good enough around them. But it's funny, Donna and I talked about it, and she had the same feeling in a different way, you know, for different reasons. And I was like, oh, well, geez. So we can't let that stop us because people feed us, they teach us, they model for us.
They really do. True. And you want to be around people that will pull you up.
Yes.
Instead of being with everybody that's on the same level.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You should always, what do they say? You always have a Paul, a Timothy, and a Barnabas in your life. If you haven't heard that, it's a biblical way of a secular concept too. But basically, you always have someone who is leading you and teaching you, someone who is partnering with you, that's like Barnabas, and someone that you are drawing up. And please do yourselves a favor and stick with someone who is willing to be drawn up, because that's a place where I've messed up several times.
Same, absolutely. Let's see here. So this has been really good. This has been a fun conversation.
I'm having fun.
I know.
I'm not nervous anymore. This is great.
I agree. For the people that are having those feelings of not feeling good enough, looking for that validation, what's the best advice that you can give them to find that tribe that will help them become the person they're seeking to be?
Ooh. I'm going to think about that for a second. So people who have that need for validation, finding that tribe
that will help them heal and do better, and maybe set boundaries. Boundaries are such an important part of life.
I like the combination in that question. For so long, I thought that my need for validation was wrong. I thought, you know, I'd see these, you know, I'm a musician, so I hang out with these guitarists who spend just umpteen bazillion hours twiddling the strings of their guitars and end up with this beautiful, amazing skill. And they don't need other people's validation, it's just them and the guitar. And their drive for mastery. And I thought I was wrong for needing external motivation, extrinsic motivation. But I discovered that that's not actually wrong. Now, it was imbalanced. I have to know who I am at all times. I need to know who God says I am. I need to know who God designed me to be. And I need the time to explore that. And I need to be driven by my own goals and my own values, whether there's anybody around or not, right?
Absolutely.
But if I am humble enough to recognize that, yes, I am I'm extrinsically motivated, then I can be smart enough to find the people who do that well, right? Like our prosperity circle. A coaching group that we're in, where we get together, we pray for one another, we share our struggles and our triumphs, and we set goals and teach each other. That kind of a group. When I was in my sexy business, the same thing. That kind of a group with the accountability keeps me wanting to have something to bring to the table next time. And also it motivates me in a different way, because I will run out of ideas on my own. But if I hear other people talking about what they need, then pretty soon I'm like, wow, oh, we can help, you know, I can do. And so, yeah, I think it's important to purposely, to understand myself and who I am, but also to purposely set set up people in my life I'm going to be accountable to.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the natural tribe, you know, the people that you just naturally hang out with.
Yeah.
Coaching groups are often made up of people that are very different than you, right?
Yes.
But guess what? Everybody's very different from you.
Mm-hmm.
It's so many people spend so much of their lives feeling, I mean, I've spent a lot of my life feeling like an alien. You know, I just walk into a room and I'm like, I am definitely the only Kristi here. You know?
I can relate.
But we all are.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to be like my grandma would say, if any two people were exactly alike, one of them would be unnecessary.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and so I have a friend who is probably, at this moment, is probably the longest term person that I've been around that consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And for the last 20 years, we've been friends, and we are so different. I mean, we like the same food sometimes. We're pretty good. We're pretty good dining out partners.
Yeah.
I'll eat the icing. She'll eat the cupcake. You know, she's that kind of person.
Okay.
But we have so little in common. But we've developed a really neat relationship because we just appreciate each other's
Absolutely.
strengths. And so finding your tribe isn't necessarily fitting in.
Mm-hmm. No,
It could be
true.
just appreciating and being appreciated.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And I think having our circle, we talked about like a prosperity circle, it gives us a healthy space to be able to have that self-care and that caretaker
Yes.
that we need without it being taken advantage of. And
so true.
I just like that really just brought that up when you said that. So, because I think it's so important as caretakers and as women, we often get taken advantage of. And having a safe space that we know is healthy, we can help feed that desire, but not get taken advantage of.
I love that. Kind of like today.
Yes.
I mean, you're here because we were talking and I was like, hey, does anybody want to do this? And you were like, yeah, I totally want to do this. And this has really, I mean, you're a chef. You could be in a kitchen somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But you stepped out of that comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And it is nice. It's nice to be able to help people without being sucked into, like, leaving your life behind and sucked into the mouth of somebody else's life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and I just want to say for the record, I didn't realize I was doing a podcast. So I said, sure, I'll help you. I just think this is a quick little phone call. And then she's like, oh, we're going to be live on Facebook. I was like, oh my God. So yes, a little bit outside my comfort zone, but I'm very glad I did it. It's been a great time already, and
Yes.
some really good conversation.
I agree. And I'm all about, you know what I love so much? The modern ability to do stuff like this at home, right?
Yes.
In your whatever. So, I mean, I've come out of the pool and just done a Facebook with my hair all goofy and, you know, I mean, to me, I want to normalize being real people.
Yes.
If we start to accept real people, looking like real people and talking like real people, instead of scripted, touched up, you know, the norm, I don't know, I think our not enoughness will start to dissipate.
Absolutely. It's a very
I
good
hope
point.
so anyway.
Yes, I agree. Very good point. So, question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was told last year, I was challenged, let me say that. I was challenged to not have expectations. How do you live a life without expectations and staying in the flow?
I think I would need to know what kind of expectations we're talking about, because I have a lot of expectations.
I did too, and so that challenge came through a life coaching program that I did, and one of the challenges was have no expectations. Like, just go into your day just being present. And it really changed so much of my mindset. And it really helped change my world because I stopped having so many expectations. And it lowered my disappointment in my life too.
Now that would definitely lower your disappointment. Okay, so I'm curious. how this has, and I will answer your question, I promise, but I'm curious how, because you have consistently been achieving things as a chef. You book catering engagements, you're doing the personal chef thing, you're teaching classes. So you have goals.
I have goals.
But you don't have expectations of what, the results?
Basically. And I don't have, I stepped into that flow of God's grace and God's work, but just also lowering and truly trying my best to get rid of the expectations of anything. If a client just chose not to book with me, okay, that's fine. You're not the right client for me. You know,
I love
the next
that.
person's coming in, and they'll, and I'm not expecting every single phone call to be booked. I'm not expecting every single thing to go my way. In other words, I gave up some control.
I love that.
Not having those expectations.
That actually enabled me to have a blast at the author showcase recently.
Oh, really?
I mean, I prayed ahead of time. I'm like, Lord, it would be great if I sell all these books and make however much. Yeah. But I got there and laid that down and was like, set up my table. I was there for people, but I just enjoyed meeting everybody. I just totally enjoyed. You guys are going to start meeting some people too, because I'm going to bring them on here. But I had so much fun discovering all these authors and hearing about their lives and talking to them. So it was very freeing to not, and at the end of the day, I looked at my sales and they were all right, but it wasn't, I mean, I still had to pack up, right? I didn't get to go, it's all gone, goodbye. But I didn't feel bad at all. Yeah. Whereas in the past, there may have been a time where I thought, no, I'm never going to make it in this business. I've just been doing it long enough that I'm like, it's not what they try to make it out to be in the movies. No. So, okay, with that in mind, let's think. I have changed my expectations of people quite a bit. I expect a lot of myself, but I'm also gracious. I don't know, forgiving anyway. We'll go with that. I understand that my list of to-dos is always bigger than a 24-hour day and my energy. Yeah. And I expect to have room to relax, to have room to have a conversation, and so when I take those opportunities, I don't feel bad about them anymore. Where I used to be like, I just wasted time. No, it's not a waste. Yeah. And with people, I have shifted my expectations, and I'm still working on that. Because there are times where I see that something would be really, really good for someone. And it's hard not to try to hold them to that. That's a good point. But if people want accountability, they'll come to a coaching group, right? If they just want to talk about something, then I need to just let them talk about something. Until I have something else to do, because they're not always ready for that, the level of pressure, the level of expectation. Yeah. And it makes a big difference. I love that I can trust God to accomplish whatever He sets out to do. Absolutely. And if that means that I'm flipping burgers at McDonald's, then, I'll do it. Yeah. If it means that someone continues to make terrible decisions for themselves, and even when I'm holding out what they need, then that's up to them. And God will accomplish what He sets out to do with the willing people. I have this song called Mighty with the Willing. He's so mighty when we're willing. Yes. But He's not going to force anything. We can look around at the state of the world and know He doesn't force His way.
Absolutely. That's very true. And I think it's a big part of where the boundaries come in, and understand that
Ooh.
as caretakers, sometimes we have to set a boundary and step back from the people who aren't yet willing.
That is so freeing. Lisa Turkhurst did an episode of Therapy and Theology on access.
Yes.
How much access you give someone to you. It doesn't mean you love them less, but if, let's say, we've got 3 kids in our house, right? And the youngest is 14. He doesn't have a driver's license yet. So while he has access to ride in my car with me, he doesn't have access to take the keys and go off, right? And so if someone in our lives, you know, they may be special to us, but maybe they're draining us dry, right? Or they would if we let them. Then or maybe they're abusive, right? And so we love them from a distance and go, okay, this is how much of my time, this is how much of my emotional investment, this is how much of my expectation, right? You can have. And, that was a great episode. Lisa Turkhurst is amazing.
I imagine.
I love her therapist too. I love that she has like the whole like therapy, theology, and Lisa Turkhurst. It's great.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
I don't know how much time we have.
So, I don't either. I'm just talking away. Oh.
I know. I'm trying to be respectful of our time because I could talk forever.
I know, right? We probably have time for, I don't know, another question or two.
Okay. I'll make a point on what you just said.
Yes.
So my counselor talks about our emotional, but also mental bank account, essentially.
Ooh.
How many deposits are we making and how many withdrawals are we making? Are we going into a negative balance? And if we are, do we need to withdraw anything else? Or should we be making deposits? And that really changed my way of thinking about things because it made it so simple. Anybody can understand the process of banking. We've all been there when something's getting a little too low and uncomfortable. And when you think of it that way, I think it makes it a little easier to move forward in whatever decision you're making because there's a value on it now that you didn't necessarily place on yourself before.
I like that. So you're responsible to put deposits in that bank.
Yes.
And we are each responsible to put deposits in our own bank. I took a swim today. Told you I was a little nervous when I got started, right? And I had been doing things and thinking, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be present and just be with God and be with my body and get in that pool. And you're right. We have to make those deposits in relationships too. Invaluable relationships, healthy relationships. I know in my past I tended to ignore the healthy people because they were always there. There was no requirements, and I tended to always run to the people who needed me, and that was way out of balance. And when I got overwhelmed with need, I would isolate myself. Because I didn't need anybody dragging on me at that time. Well, that's unhealthy too. If I had, when I learned to start making deposits with healthy people, and then I had to learn to act healthier too. Ooh, I tell you what, we have to learn to relate to the people we want to be around, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I had to learn that. But it's been such a, I don't have to isolate as much.
So, last question.
Yes.
How do you fill your cup when you're feeling empty, or how do you make deposits for you? Like, what do you do? Everybody has different methods and different things that they enjoy, but what do you do to fill your cup?
I have several things. There's never just one thing because there are several things. Like, I enjoy a good cozy mystery. Like, some cute little silly getaway mystery over a weekend. I very much enjoy certain people in my life, and sometimes just if I'm spending too much time alone because I'm focused on a project or whatever, I need to get with people. And that, especially even new people, I love these interviews. That's one way of doing it. And then physical outdoor things. Biking, hiking, swimming, and music. I don't do music as much as I used to. I miss it terribly. One of these days.
Yeah, I'll say that's a good thing to make a note about.
I know, right?
So, this has been awesome.
This has been so neat.
Yeah.
So, this year, if you're wondering about any of these things, why it matters that we have good relationships in our lives and how in the world to nurture healthy relationships when it seems like all we attract are the wrong people, right? If you're wondering about those kinds of things, then Monday through Friday, we have daily devotion right here on One Moment Wiser. And you've got Mental Health Monday, where I share tips from scripture and from psychologists about things that you can do to stay mentally healthy or to nurture your mental health. And Tuesday is Trade In Tuesday, where we talk about renewing your mind and trading those old bad habits for new healthy ones. Trading the old thought processes, the not enoughness, right? The triggered by need. Trading some of those old processes for new healthy ones. Worldwide Wednesday, where we take our eyes off of ourselves. We pray for other people because there is actual science that talks about the difference it makes in our longevity, our actual lifespan, when we make a habit of kindness meditations. And what better way to do that than to pray for people? So that's Worldwide Wednesday. Thankful Thursday, you have probably... Well, you have to have been in a cave if you haven't heard about the benefits of gratitude. So Thankful Thursday, and then Family Friday, where we talk about these relationship things, nurturing healthy ones and avoiding the habits of unhealthy relationships. With relationships, I was reading just this week that unhealthy relationships produce cortisol. Unhealthy interactions, right? Yeah. Produce cortisol. Yeah. Cortisol will make you fat, guys. It just makes you want to eat. But cortisol also can, over the long term, because it keeps us in fight or flight mode, right? Mm-hmm. Over the long term, it can wear out our heart. Yeah. It can mess with our pancreas. It can cause health problems, right? Yeah. And when we actually have healthy interactions on a regular basis, positive interactions with people on a regular basis, we produce dopamine, which makes us want to keep doing it, right? Yeah. And gives us focus. Yeah. We produce serotonin. Mm-hmm. There are all these good feeling chemicals that put us, not just for that moment, but on a trajectory of health, of mental health. So join me Monday through Friday, and we will talk through those things. Micah, tell us just for a second before we go, how can people reach you if they're like, oh my gosh, there's a caterer right there, and I need one?
So the best way to follow me right now is Facebook, and it's just Facebook at Miss Micah's Kitchen. I don't do as much catering as I used to, so private chef services, the meal prep, meal planning, cooking classes, those would be the best things for me. If the location, venue, church has a commercial kitchen on site, I will cater. So if you're needing catering needs, but you can offer me a commercial kitchen, then I can do that. Okay. But Miss Micah's Kitchen at Facebook is the best way to follow me.
Okay, you know what? I love the idea of cooking lessons.
Yes, they're so much fun.
How better to create those friends and family, close, fun times. I mean, you don't have to just sit around going, so how's your life been? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, well, this is what I've been doing. Nice to see you, right? Yeah. You can actually create a fun experience by doing a private cooking lesson.
It's been real popular among family and friends to get groups together and learn new skills, learn new recipes, and just have fun. And it's very relaxed. That's the thing, is we're there to have fun, but learn something along the way.
Okay, I want to know then, has there ever been a cooking experience that you've had with other people that stands out in your mind that makes you go, oh my gosh, this one time?
I will say I did learn my lesson. I always do a walkthrough, especially if I'm meal prepping or going to be in the customer's home on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
I always do a walkthrough first to make sure that the kitchen's in good order and I have the items that I need. The one time I didn't, that was an experience. I walked into pretty things, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why I set this up. I forgot about that.
So that's the day that we learned about improvisation, right?
Yes, like, oh, and my poker face.
The poker face. Wait, I want to see the poker face again.
I'm like doing on cue.
It's so hard to do a poker face when you're giggling, right?
It is.
Oh man. Okay, so Miss Micah's Kitchen. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you.
God bless you. Bye bye.